Selector. Static Selector.
I don't know, just to experience it. Goodbye. I just got out from work, and while I was leaving, I asked to hug my coworker because they're going on a trip to a conference. What they had said to me as they hugged me goodbye was, I hope you have a good rest of the afternoon, good rest of the day, good rest of your week, good rest of weeks. And I just had this thought to myself of, I hope you have good rest of months. That is this new type of closure that I'm learning. And it was odd to not know if this was goodbye or not, but I don't know, just to experience a new form of goodbye. If all is going according to plan, this would be the last time I see them because I plan to leave on August 1st and they will be on a trip for 2 weeks, which does not leave time for me to see them again. They weren't just a coworker to me, but a friend, and I believe a big indicator of where I am in my life too. So it's challenging to realize that this might be the last time I see them. Maybe not forever, but at least for a while. At least in this way, as who I am now in this phase of my life. And what I find difficult about it is that I have a disposition to already find goodbyes really challenging. I have a hard time with not feeling like goodbyes give closure, without feeling like a goodbye means there is a resolution of something. While that is a big part of how I identify, and that the resolution and the grief and the new beginnings of goodbyes is a huge part of how I've started to see myself in my narrative, I still find them really challenging because they feel really big. They feel like a promise of something, and for that reason, sometimes I get a little bit performative with trying to find closure. But today felt a little different. I just lived an average day, and I didn't realize that it could be goodbye, but I also had the knowledge that while I had these interactions that it was totally plausible. And I'm so used to trying to find little synchronicities and all little meanings in what's going on. And today it just was today. It was a typical shift. It was not even like just resolving feelings, but there were new feelings happening about the things that are happening, and there are things that are still going on, and it didn't feel over even when I'm thinking about it being over. It's a new type of feeling. it's just living today, which is really uncomfortable and also a very different type of resolution that I'm used to. I'm used to wanting the grieving rituals or the ceremonies or something that feels like it's from here to there, that has a big cathartic moment surrounded by people that recognize that. And for that to happen subtly, internally, that's new. That's new. Sometimes the resolution, sometimes the goodbye happens afterwards, where your perspective just changes one day on what happened, and you feel like you're no longer that person anymore, I guess. And that's, sometimes I look back and I don't even remember when my mind changed, when I started thinking differently and I didn't feel like that person anymore from the last phase of my life, even though I know it didn't happen immediately when I left the place. Sometimes I leave the place, or before I even leave the place, I feel like I'm a different person. But what I really understand is that, well, beginning to understand, what I'm beginning to understand from this is just that sometimes it really is not the person that you're saying goodbye to, but the person that you become. That's the goodbye. The real goodbye is when you're no longer the same person that they just say hi and bye to, you know? It's when you're no longer the same person that would easily fall into the same routines, or when I drive down somewhere that I can't quite remember the route to it. That's more of the goodbye than the last interaction that you really have. I will eventually come back and not feel like the same person and have the same values. And it'll probably be even more intense because it's my hometown, but I think just knowing that is gonna be my goodbye. Not all the things that I say to say, oh, bye. It's gonna be looking back and saying, that was so great that's what I felt and what I thought. And then that's going to be when I feel the resolution. That's when the resolve comes and the closure comes, and that's what I'm going to call home. It's a much less satisfying answer sometimes, but I don't know. I think as I start to explore that, maybe it'll be a more meaningful one, and that's all I can really hope for. So, I don't know. I'm slowly saying goodbye to this place, and there's so much that I've learned from growing up here. This is always going to be the land in which I grew up. Anyways, all this to say, goodbye.